Greetings from Human Biological Institute. Welcome to yet another engaging session of our scientific forum, Immunization Conclave. At Human Biological Institute, we take immense pride in driving several public health awareness initiatives through our one of its kind platform, Immunize with Pride. Immunize with Pride is an awareness initiative dedicated to educating public about vaccine preventable diseases and the importance of timely vaccination. These sessions feature leading experts from across the country who share their valuable insights on key health topics aimed to raise awareness and promote overall well-being of the society at large. Today, we are delighted to have Dr. Rachna Das Hazarika, Dr. Navneet Khandelwal, and Dr. Inderjit Pandit with us to share their expert perspective on vaccination against hepatitis, which is a key step towards a healthier future. I shall be sharing more about our speakers in a short while. For the moment, please allow me to share a brief introduction of Human Biological Institute. Human Biological Institute is a division of Indian Immunologicals Limited, a One Health company. IIL was established by National Dairy Development Board (NDDB) in the year 1982 as its unit, and later registered as a company in 1999 when the name Indian Immunologicals with the name Indian Immunologicals Limited. HBI was established in the year 1998 when the Government of India requested IIL to produce a modern tissue culture anti-rabies vaccine to phase out the unsafe nerve tissue vaccine. The first manufacturing facility of HPI was established at Ooty. The facility is one of its kind in India to roll out the first varicella culture rabies vaccine in the year 2000. Subsequently, HBI launched other vaccines, and currently HBI is a major player in the human vaccine segment. HBI is also a leader in anti-rabies vaccine segment and also is present in around 60 countries. With three state-of-the-art manufacturing facility at Ooty, Gachibowli, and Karkapatla, which is at Genome Valley. With the vision of shaping global healthcare by spearheading One Health initiative, with a mission to innovate, produce, and market quality healthcare products and services to improve and extend lives, HBI believe in providing affordable products at high quality through continuous technological innovations and improvements to meet customer needs. Indian Immunologicals Limited corporate social responsibility projects are like adoption of government schools. IIL has adopted 2 government schools in the vicinity of Karkapatla facility, which is in Hyderabad, Telangana. IIL is providing infrastructure and basic facilities, including help in midday meal scheme program. In coordination with NDDB, with the project Gift Milk program, over 2,500 school-going children from Telangana and Tamil Nadu are also being benefited. IIL has generated oxygen generation plant to Telangana Institute of Medical Sciences team, Gachibowli, which is in Hyderabad. To know more, these are the key highlights of Human Biological Institute, which is a division of Indian Immunologicals Limited. To know more about the organization, please visit the website www.indimmune.com. Immunize is one of our unique initiative which emphasizes that vaccination not only protects individuals but also strengthens community immunity. So welcome to today's episode of Immunization Conclave, a session dedicated to a very highly significant topic, which is vaccination against hepatitis, a key step towards a healthier future. It is my privilege to introduce our panelist, Dr. Rachna Das, Rachna Das Hazarika, Dr. Navneet Khandelwal, and Dr. Inderjit Pandey. May I welcome each one of you, Doctor. Now, it is my privilege to welcome. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Rachna Das Hazarika, a highly respected pediatrician from Guwahati with over 26 years of dedicated experience in child. Known for her clinical excellence and compassionate approach, she has made significant contributions to the pediatric and neonatal care and infectious diseases. She completed her MD in pediatrics from JIPMER, Chandigarh, and has advanced expertise in pediatric infectious diseases and ECMO, reflecting her strong academic and clinical foundation. She is formerly HOD Pediatrics, NEIG, RIHMS Shillong, and currently serves as a senior consultant pediatric and neonatologist at Rigpa Children's Clinic and Nimcare Super Specialty Hospital, Guwahati. With special interest in acute intensive care, infectious disease, allergy, asthma, and rheumatology, Dr. Hazarika has been a trusted name in advancing child health and preventive care. Welcome, Dr. Rachna Das. It is truly a privilege to have you with us today. Now, it's my privilege to welcome Dr. Navneet Khandelwal, a highly regarded pediatrician from Bhopal with over 12 years of dedicated experience in child healthcare. Known for his clinical expertise and commitment to pediatric care, he has been actively contributing both for the patient care and academics. He completed his MBBS from GMC Bhopal, MD in pediatrics from RDGMC Ujjain, and holds PDCC, reflecting a strong academic foundation in pediatric medicine. He is currently serving as assistant professor at Hamidia Hospital, Bhopal, where he continues to contribute to clinical care, teaching, and childhood advancement. With his experience in improving child health outcomes through evidence-based practices and compassionate care. Welcome, Dr. Navneet. It is truly a privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Inderjit Pandit, a highly respected pediatrician with over 25 years of dedicated experience known for a compassionate care and rich clinical expertise. She has been a trusted name in clinical pediatric practice for decades. She completed her medical training at Topiwala National Medical College and BYL Nair Hospital, followed by MD in pediatrics, building a strong academic foundation in child health. She is associated with Astha Children, Virar West, where she continues to provide quality and comprehensive pediatric care. With decades of experience in pediatrics and preventive healthcare, Dr. Pandit has remained committed to advancing child wellness and supporting healthcare futures. Welcome, Dr. Pandit. Pandit, it is truly a privilege to have you with us today. So, before we welcome all the panelists for the today's discussion, now we are ready for the discussion for the topic for the today, which is vaccination against hepatitis, a key step towards a healthier future. So, before entering into the topics, Doctor, I would like to ask Dr. Rashna Das, why are when we say vaccination, it is a key step toward a healthier future. What does that mean for children and family? Why vaccination is important, Doctor, for children and a family?
Thank you very much for having me here in this live stream. I think that's a very important question you have asked. When we talk of vaccines and vaccination, we have to understand the basic thing that prevention is better than cure. And if you look at the data worldwide for the last 100 years, there are 10 major things which have made a difference in the world, and vaccination and immunization is one of them, a major one, I would say. So, when you have illnesses which are life threatening, and most of the vaccines are made against these life threatening illnesses. So, if you vaccinate the children, you're preventing illness as well as an economic burden to the parents. Because once you get the sickness, the expenses are extensive, particularly in today's healthcare scenario, whereas the vaccine will cost you a few, maybe hundreds or thousand rupees. But if they get sick, you'll end up spending a lakh or 2 lakhs, maybe more. And sometimes the children may not survive also. So therefore, I think it is very important for parents to understand that if there is a vaccine to prevent an illness, it is better to take it rather than regret later on. That is for the child. Now, one thing is there are some vaccines which, when you give to the children, also prevent diseases in the adults and elderly in the family. For example, if you vaccinate a child against pneumonia or influenza, it helps to prevent the same illnesses in the elderly population. And if you look at the data, you will see that most of the elderly patients or the grandparents succumb to respiratory illnesses because of influenza or because of pneumococcal infection. So if you're protecting your children, you're also protecting the adults in the family, which is known as a cocoon effect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, doctor. See, actually, as you said, normally we talk about vaccination. When we talk, we said it's not an individual affair; it's a community affair. So it's not about only protecting yourself; it's about the community. So thank you for giving that clarity here with this doctor. Now, my question for to Dr. Navneet Khandelwal. Dr. Navneet, how does vaccination shift healthcare from treating illness to preventing disease? Why it is important, such so important in pediatrics, as you say?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. Now, pediatrics most important is growth and development. So, whenever a child gets sick, his both growth and development are affected, then he has to catch up that. So, it's always like Madam said, prevention is better than cure. So, we have to prevent the illness rather than after disease and curing it. Like if the child suffers from meningitis, he may suffer some sequelae like deafness or neurological impairment later on. But if we prevent him from getting meningitis by getting the pneumococcal as well as meningococcal vaccines, we prevent that damage to the child. So it's about improving the quality of life and also preventing him from getting ill. So it's always better to get him prevented with the vaccines. And like Madam said, vaccines cost in thousands or maybe in hundreds and maybe free in some government setups. But once the child gets ill, also it's a financial burden plus the quality of the child gets affected. So it's always better we go for preventive aspect rather than treating it. Treating is another aspect, but better to go for prevention so that the child's growth and development is not hampered and the quality of life is improved. And especially during the first 1,000 days, as we always talk on, that we have to focus on the first 1,000 days. The brain development is maximum during the first 2 years and the 5 years. So we want that the child should not get ill. He should grow up continuously, and also his development should be appropriate. So vaccine has a great help to that aspect. Thank you.
So, Dr. Navneet, as you said, vaccination helps in to the pediatrics in the initial age of life. So, uh, do, does immunity transfer from maternal to the child, or like why that vaccine becomes important? Because also gets from the transfer from the mother to the child. Would you like to enlighten on this?
Yes, so definitely. Some for some diseases, immunity definitely gets transferred to the child. If the mother has antibodies, it protects the child. Like measles, the maternal antibodies are passed, and the child is protected till 9 months of age. Or if the mother is vaccinated for flu vaccine or other, if she doesn't get sick during the pregnancy, she is protected. It is also helping the child. So one thing is that some antibodies are transferred due to some vaccines. So it also helps the babies.
Okay. Uh, Now we know about life
No,
course. Yeah,
can I just add
yeah, doctor,
here
please. Yeah, doctor, please. Yeah,
that
please.
when you say maternal antibodies, it has to be understood that it is only, as Dr. Navneet has said, it is to be understood that it is only a temporary arrangement till the
Temperature.
child reaches about 6 months, because most of the antibodies will start waning at that time. And therefore, we have early vaccination. We start at birth, and then the main vaccinations come at from 1.5 months of age. So people have to understand that whatever they get protected from the mother is very temporary, only to tide over a certain period of life.
Yeah, thank you, doctor, for that. I think that's how the vaccines are built in the life course of the vaccination. Now we discussed something about the child. Already we have discussed about the child vaccination. Now, my question to Doctor Inderjit Pandit, Doctor. What does a life course vaccination approach mean, and how it helps protect children into adulthood? Because it's stage of vaccination from the childhood to adulthood.
Good evening, everybody. Now, life course vaccination is a new term because initially there was a norm everybody vaccination means it's only related to children, but now we are going ahead with a broader approach. Now, life course vaccination means vaccination of children, adolescent, and also elders, and even the elderly geriatric population needs to be covered. That is the meaning of life course vaccination, where you are covering the whole life of the person. And why is it important? Because there are a lot of vaccines have their own time period of prevention. So the vaccination immunity which we have got through vaccination gradually wanes off. So there is a need to boost that immunity, so that in the later course of life, where the inherent immunity of the individuals in the older age is reduced, they are already covered with vaccines, and hence their morbidity and mortality is reduced, and their health is cost is also reduced, and they do not suffer later in life. So that is the meaning of life course vaccination, where you cover the full life of the person and not only in childhood.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. It covers the both adolescents as well as the adult. So every stage and every age, there are certain vaccines which needs to be taken care. Now, my question to uh, Dr. Rashna, we are discussing on hepatitis. Now we learned about child and also adult vaccination. So, doctor, can you please let us know what is this hepatitis, and what are types of hepatitis, and what kind of vaccinations needs to be taken at various age?
Okay, hepatitis means infection of the liver. So the liver infection mostly occurs because of viruses. The main important viruses which cause clinical problems are hepatitis B, hepatitis A, and hepatitis C, and also hepatitis E. Now, all of these can cause severe illness, particularly hepatitis A. If you're not protected, you can go into acute fulminant hepatic failure. B usually causes a chronic course and ultimately leads to hepatocellular carcinoma. Same is with hepatitis C. And hepatitis E is again an acute infection and can be very life threatening, especially if it occurs in pregnant women. And if it is associated, for example, A and E occurring together, then it is very difficult clinical situation. So these infections can occur at any age. Hepatitis B, which is very important, is transmitted very early, and it can go from the mother to the child in utero. And that is why the hepatitis B vaccination starts right at birth. It can also be transmitted, the hepatitis B and C, via the blood products, unsafe injection practices, and in drug abusers. So this can occur through the bloodstream. Hepatitis A and E are mostly waterborne diseases. So having a very good hygiene, sanitation, and food habits is important to prevent these illnesses. Now, in the current context, we know that hepatitis A is predominantly present in India all over the place. But because the hygiene practices are increasing, so people are getting less infected. Initially, it would the virus would be there in the water, and people would get subacute infections and develop antibodies. But in current times, in the last decade or so, it has been seen that because of good hygiene practices, people are not getting the subclinical infection. So whenever they get an infection, so they don't have antibodies. So whenever they get an infection, it becomes very severe, and particularly in the adults and in the pregnant women. So these are the ways the various hepatitis are happening in the body and how they are transmitted. So that is
So,
why
doctor,
we need. Hmm.
yeah, as you said, but now we have hepatitis B already is given in the child. Then the child is born. Then we have various stages where the combination vaccine is given to protect. Do we need hepatitis B vaccine further in adulthood if you have taken in the childhood, doctor?
No, no. If you've taken the full course of the hepatitis B vaccination as a child, then you do not need any additional booster unless there are specific situations. Suppose you're a renal CRF patient and you've got a renal transplant, or you're undergoing dialysis, then we will have to check the antibody levels in the body. And if the antibody level drops below a certain level, then only you will boost it. Otherwise, for those who are immunocompetent or whose immunity is fine, the primary series is enough to give you lifelong protection as far as hepatitis B is concerned. The same is also with hepatitis A. We do not have a vaccine for C and E as yet.
Okay. Now, uh, Doctor, my question to Doctor Navneet will be there. We have discussed about hepatitis now. Now, there is one more disease which is very on talk of the town, like influenza. Every yearly vaccination booster needs to be given. So, how do you see influenza being relevant for the children and this vaccine relevant for the children?
Yes. Kids are, it's a very common infection in the pediatric age group because it's the child is growing, they are getting developing their immunity, and also kids are super spreaders. Like they go to the school, it's a place where they interact with each other and have a close contact. So they spread the flu virus, especially during the monsoon seasons, and after that, in class, and also they transmit the same to their home, to the younger siblings as well. So one thing is that they need to be vaccinated to prevent themselves and to the other siblings. And also we regularly hear complaint from the parents that a child is getting severe URTI infections, upper respiratory tract infections multiple times in a year, and he is not growing well. So if we prevent those infections, the child would be growing well. Another thing is that post COVID, the flu surges are high and they even worse. So to prevent that, we can have that. And if the child suffers from flu, the child can also develop pneumonia, super added infections. It can also increase the asthma, may cause wheezing episodes like multi-trigger wheeze, and may also cause encephalitis sometimes. So having flu vaccine can prevent all that.
Okay, so being a very serious disease, it gets spread. So we get also the various strains each and every year. So that becomes very critical for the children for getting vaccinated. Doctor Inderjit, would like to add any vaccine which is very important during the school age during this period? Any other vaccine which you feel that yes, children should be vaccinated, and there is a chance that during the school age they spread among the masses.
Another only flu vaccine, I suppose, and basic vaccination. Almost everybody gets. Okay, pneumonia vaccine is important in this age, but that is a part of our IOP immunization schedule and government schedule. So those two vaccines are really important: the flu vaccine and the pneumonia vaccine, because both those are the communicable diseases which happen in school because of overcrowding a lot of children in a single classroom. That's it.
Doctor, anything like suppose any child has not taken typhoid now, like we discussed, Dr. Navneet said typhoid is very important, maybe for a doctor uh, uh, for the children during this age. So, do you recommend typhoid as a vaccination as a catch up where people have really missed typhoid being a serious disease for the children?
Yeah, I do recommend
For this,
typhoid. In fact, my typhoid conjugate vaccine recommendations at 6 months of age. So I recommend them at 6 months of age. Of course, it's not a communicable disease, but it is always better to have a preventive thing as early as possible for typhoid, because off late we see even small children are eating from outside, and since typhoid is a food and waterborne diseases, they very often we have seen children getting typhoid even before a year of age. So definitely, I recommend them with typhoid conjugate vaccines after 6 months of age. And people who have again taken in government, they are not using the conjugate vaccine. It's the polysaccharide vaccine which is being used. So I definitely tell them that the vaccine which they have taken, the immunity is going to last only for 3 years. So it's better to go for a conjugate vaccine at the age of 5 or 6 years again if they have taken it at 2 years from the government to prevent typhoid, because we see lots of complications happening because of typhoid. So
now, since we discussed something called life course vaccination, doctor, do you recommend that typhoid being the childhood and adolescent, do adults should also consider this vaccination vaccine, or is it given to the adults, this conjugate
it
vaccine?
can be given to even hepatitis A. I recommend them if they do not have any history. If they have not suffered from hepatitis A, and the most important thing about hepatitis A, there is no specific treatment for hepatitis A. So I always tell them, rather than repenting later, better go for the vaccination. And even adults should be taking because as you see of late over the last decade there are everybody is has a history of eating from outside has very become very common, and this is the place from where they are getting the vaccine. We may have improved in our hygiene or drinking good bottled distillery water or boiled water, but then many a times we ourselves are eating from outside. So it's better to have prevention from such diseases like typhoid and hepatitis, which definitely come from our food and water. Yeah.
Yes. So there are multiple vaccines which will be taken care of in the adult stage also, where people can
Yes.
visit their healthcare practitioners and take the advice accordingly. Now, since we discussed childhood vaccination and we discussed adult vaccination, now there is a gap. Like there is a age group which is adolescents, which is where vaccination gap is there, and certain diseases where childhood they have not taken or they have missed. So that is an adolescent. So, doctor, my question to Dr. Rachna would be, Doctor, how should parents think about catch-up vaccination if some doses or boosters has missed? Do you recommend as a catch-up vaccination in the practice, or like every time a child, the parents must see the vaccination record of the child and see that all the vaccinations which is available, the child should take, and catch-up should happen at some point of time?
Yeah, I think that's a very important message we must give to the community, that if you have missed any vaccine, say you have got transferred from one place to another, you lose your vaccine card or you forget it, or you missed for some reason, for some family, sometimes somebody dies in the family and you miss the vaccine. It doesn't matter. You just go back whenever you can and then ask your pediatrician, show them the vaccine card, and whatever is missed can be done at that time. So the same holds true for, as we were discussing, for typhoid. So many a times the children miss it because it's not given universally in the government sector all over the country. So if they're coming regularly to us, okay, at 6 months we start. Now it is also recommended nowadays. The studies have come of our own vaccine, typhoid conjugate vaccine, where the vaccine can be given to adults up to 85 years of age. So anybody who is an adult can take the vaccine, and it's a WHO recommendation that the vaccine should be given at least a single dose to everyone in the world. Now, the second thing which has come, very interesting study, and I think the recommendations will come now, because now the recommendation was for a single dose, but there is also a recommendation for if you're giving someone a typhoid vaccine at 6 months, then you do a catch up again at around 4 to 5 years of age, because they have seen that the antibody levels go down by that time. And we all know that typhoid doesn't have a correlate of protection, so therefore you will need to boost the immunity. So in that way, all the vaccines, if they have missed an MMR, if they've missed a chicken pox, now say for example, chicken pox in adults is very painful. So if they have missed those vaccines, they can always be done at a later age.
Right. Uh, I think it is a very clear message for the catch-up vaccination, doctor. Thank you so much for this. Now, the question to Doctor Navneet, doctor. Now, the schools are getting closed. We'll have summer camps. Then there will be hostels. People also joining the new academic year, going to hostels. So, in these cases, which kind of infections or which parents should be cautious of?
Okay. Like people going in camps or joining these hostels, they must be eating
Yes.
outside food.
Yes.
So definitely the infections that are transmitted by food and water, they increase like hepatitis A, typhoid. So those who are joining, they are exposed to these type of infections. So if they are joining some camps, they must get flu vaccination. If they are being hosteler or eating outside food or joining some camps where they are also have to eat, so they must get vaccinated for typhoid, hepatitis A, all this.
Yes. So
So
you like
another,
to
yeah,
recommend, yeah,
another
doctor. Please.
important thing, in when people gather for camps or mass gatherings, as we call it, where they live in very close quarters, is that they should be advised that they should take the meningococcal conjugate vaccine, because that is one disease which is spreads in these close groups. and particularly in the adolescents. So if somebody is going for a mela or a camp or something, it doesn't come in the ACVIP like recommendation routinely, but you should have a one-to-one talk with the parents and tell them that okay, this is one more disease which can occur in closed groups, and there is a good vaccine available, and you should take it.
Right. Mostly the what do you say, doctor? We get the during the mass gathering, mostly the diseases which are contagious, we definitely look for it. But as doctor said, meningococcal, it becomes becoming a very crucial factor. Not need to be considered during the mass gathering, and parents to definitely look for it. Now, another vaccine which is definitely the coming into the point of discussion is during the adolescents and in adults also, the diphtheria immunity and the pertussis immunity wanes over the time. So my question to Dr. Inderjit Pandit, doctor, once the immunity of diphtheria wanes, so TDAP is being recommended. So do you
Yes.
feel, can you let us know when this TDAP booster you recommend, and for how long this TDAP booster or boosting the immunity with tetanus and diphtheria is done?
TDAP is normally we recommend at 10 years of age. In our pediatric schedule, it is at 10 years and 15 years of age. But once they are done with that, we also recommend them to continue taking it every 5 years, since the tetanus recommendations are to be taken every 5 years. So, since there is a waning of immunity for diphtheria and pertussis, which is seen very commonly now. Earlier, it was only the tetanus toxoid which was given, but now over last, I think 10 to 15 years, we have started using TDAP, and I strongly recommend them to go for that. And in adults also,
So,
we recommend TDAP. In fact, our gynec friends also have started using TDAP instead of TT in the pregnant ladies. So it now there is
um,
awareness about it, and it's been given.
So when we see about the developed nations or developing countries where they have already moved out from TT, India is yet to move to this TD and TDAP and TD, where they have already phased out TT. Many 125 countries have moved from TT. So still India is looking for it. So we hope that the practice goes on. I mean, the awareness goes on. Parents understand that so we can replace TT wherever it is required. I mean, this dose. So now coming to doctor, we have a very recently, Dr. Rashna, we have the government of India has also rolled out a very um ambitious plan of HPV vaccination. So we would like to understand why should parents think of HPV vaccination and as a really long term approach, and they should definitely. Is it recommended only for the girl child, or I mean the boys should also take HPV vaccine?
Okay, I think that's a very, very important public health issue that we are discussing now. See, whatever studies are there across the world and as well as in India, and particularly from my part of the country, the number one cause of cervical cancer in females is human papilloma virus. And also in men, the throat cancer, rectal, anal cancers, all these are caused by HPV mostly. So, various types of HPV or the human papilloma virus. So, once you get a cancer, it is a very debilitating condition. And there are many women in this country, thousands of women who are dying every day, every year in this country because of cervical cancer. If you can detect it early, it's fine. But you know, the kind of health infrastructure as well as the health seeking behavior of our people, cervical cancer is never detected early because nobody goes for screening. If you do regular screening, probably you would catch them early and do appropriate treatment. But in our country, screening is, in fact, even among the doctors, I think we don't go for screening regularly. So, in such a situation where it is a dreaded condition, and once you have it, you are mostly detected in stage 3 or stage 4, where the treatment is extensive and very, very costly, and you may not make it also. You may not be alive. And it's very debilitating. It's economically very burdening for the family as well as the person. So, when you have a good vaccine which can prevent the disease, why not take it? It's an extremely good vaccine, well tested all over the world over the last 2, 3 decades. and it has been now available in India for quite some time. First we had the bivalent, then we had the quadrivalent, and now we also have a nine-valent
Nine
vaccine.
valent.
All the vaccines, especially the quadrivalent and the nanovalent, are both extremely good vaccines. They are not only recommended for girls and women, but they're also recommended for boys. Now, see, in my own family, when I vaccinated my both boys about a decade back, they asked me a question: why you're vaccinating us when it is actually a vaccine for the cervical cancer? Men don't have cervix. So then I told them it's the boys who spread it. So if you want to prevent the spread and you want to have a good effect in the community, you will have to vaccinate the boys. So, in countries like Europe and Australia, they have beautiful studies which have shown that when they started the vaccination in boys, the incidence of genital warts went down drastically. So, that only shows you that it's a very good vaccine. So, we need to give it both for girls and for boys.
Yes. So, yeah, so it is definitely clear that it is not a single, it's a very gender specific vaccine. So it has to be for both the genders. Now, coming to Dr. Navneet, now we talked about HPV, we have talked about typhoid, we talked about hepatitis A. Now, as you know, doctor, when you school being a very important education system, and we can educate this at the very right age, so people develop. So we have seen that. So, Dr. Navneet, can you share any thought of on that, how schools can be a part in spreading the awareness of preventive diseases and such kind of diseases?
Yeah, definitely school can be a part of spreading awareness and also increasing the vaccination coverage. The school can have a regular checkup for the vaccine status of the child. They can even ask for the vaccination cards of the kids and see that children are vaccinated against the vaccine preventable diseases or not. Plus, a doctor, school, along with teachers, webinar can be conducted to spread the awareness so that we educate the parents, the children, as well as the adolescents, especially, and in children and the parents with teachers to spread the awareness and the need and the how the infection spread they understand and what's the importance of vaccine. So they will comply better. They will have a better compliance for the vaccine if we advise them later on. And also, vaccination drives can be organized at schools at mass level, where the children who have missed their vaccines they can have a vaccine shot there, so they can have a complete coverage if they are not able to visit a pediatrician otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of being educating from the teachers. We are implementing certain. We are even if trying to educate children through rabies awareness. Like for rabies awareness, we want to bring it in the curriculum so that people are aware, because their children bitten by dogs at the very short height, and child the early age only they are being exposed to the animal bites. So there only we can educate, and we can definitely have uh, stop prevent these incidences to happen. Thank you so much,
So
Navneet, Dr. Navneet.
also,
And
also schools in our areas, they are asking for a vaccination, a xerox of the vaccination card,
yeah,
again
vaccination
stressing on
card.
the
Now
importance
schools
of
have been
vaccination.
asking for
They are
vaccination.
asking now. So even that,
Yes,
the stresses on
that
the
is very
importance
important.
of
Yeah, that is very
vaccination
important.
nowadays in
Yeah,
the people's minds that it is important for admission.
yeah.
So that also is a
So,
part.
doctor, it is now the question very related to it is about when you talk about a long-term health and economic benefits. Now, parents should definitely look the vaccination card and see that all the vaccines, whatever is mentioned as per the Indian Academy of Pediatrics or National Immunization Program, all the vaccines are covered. So, uh, in that case, how you feel that a complete immunization record by a parent for a child is very important if you see when the child progresses in the stage of life. So, how do you see this?
Yeah, I did not get your question.
No,
Yeah.
actually, doctor, when we see that when we see the vaccination record of the child, many places we see that some many of the vaccines are missed.
Yes.
So, So, how do you see as a parent that entire if the entire vaccination record or the entire immunization sheet of the child is completed, all the tick marks, how do you see the future of the child in as the child grows? Which the at least the child is protected against many, because there are 30 vaccine preventable diseases.
Yes.
We have vaccine only for 30
Yeah,
diseases.
we have.
So,
That's what I wanted to say. That we have very few vaccines compared to the disease burden. But whatever is
yeah.
available, it's better to always again, like initially, Madam said, prevention is better than cure. So it is definitely important to take all the vaccines which are available and which are also going to come. So it is that happens in our day-to-day visit. Since they whenever they follow up, we tell them that it is important to take the vaccines at every visit with the patients. When we are talking about everything else, talking about vaccination also is one point. Of course, vaccination and the diet. These two things are very important when we are seeing our patients and seeing their chart and pointing out to them what they have missed and insisting that recommending that it's better to complete so that your child has a very good immunity, because illnesses again will affect the growth of the child and he'll suffer. So it's better to have immunity and have a healthy and a strong child. And vaccination in childhood is very important for the adolescence and the adulthood of the child. So we are ensuring a very healthy adolescent and an adult if you are vaccinating those children very well. So we need to stress that on each and every visit whenever the patients come to us. In that way, we can do it.
So, as related to the same questions, my next thing will be to Dr. Rashna. Doctor, how do you see that the parents who hesitate for this vaccination, or they go through the various articles, or they see the Google and come back to you? So, how do you burst the myth of this vaccines and in the parents and encourage vaccination?
See, I think most of the time it is not because they are reading too much, it is the finances. So
Okay.
they feel that, if they're getting some free in the government sector, and
Ah,
unfortunately, the government doesn't tell them that there are other vaccines beyond the national immunization schedule, which are also important. So they feel that whatever we say probably is just to, earn money or something like that. And particularly the vaccine, some of them are obviously uh, at least 1,500 to 2,500, 3,000 sometimes. And it is mostly the economic thing which they have in mind. But what I tell them in my practical point of counseling is that it's like a mutual fund investment.
yes.
You invest now in the vaccine and you get the benefits long term, because they don't get sick. If they don't get sick, you don't spend money in the hospital, you don't lose work, you don't lose your leaves. So that is one way of telling them. Second is, I make a point to tell them, for example, we were talking about, say, whether hepatitis A. The hepatitis A vaccine across companies will cost around 2,000 to 2,500, okay, approximately, or even for typhoid, nearly the same cost. So I tell them that, see, the vaccine will cost you 2,500, which is like two people going and having a meal in a restaurant. You'll spend more than that. But if you get the disease, if the child gets the disease, in 2 days, you're going to spend 50,000 rupees in the admission, in the investigations, and in the medicine. And your child will be very, very sick. You will lose 2 work days, a lot of stress in the family. So you decide what you want. You want to spend this 2,500 now, or you want to spend 50 to 1 lakh, 50,000 to 1 lakh in 2, 3 days. So I think that actually hammers the point in their mind, and most of them understand. What
Yeah.
has also happened is, with both parents working, they do not want the child to get sick. So now we have parents who come on their own and ask us if there is any new vaccine coming in. If the vaccine has been completed, they will show you the vaccine card and get it confirmed from you if anything has been missed. And in fact, there are people who are coming and asking for the yearly flu vaccine, not only for their children but also for themselves. So I think in that way the progress is there. People are understanding now, and especially with programs like this, they are getting into the idea. They have more knowledge, and of course Google is there to tell them, though many a times the information may not be correct. But they do come and ask you, and they do come and get it. So I think it's a very positive direction that the country is moving forward.
Nice to hear it from doctors. This is a progress happening, and people are really aware, and they are encouraging this. They're really encouraging the child to take a vaccine. Very important. So, Dr. Navneet, now if every family watching takes one practical preventive step, what would you recommend?
Would recommend them to open their child's vaccination card,
Oh,
circle
that's great.
what is missing, what they have missed, and, and immediately, or they can plan to contact a pediatrician, send that photo or contact him. He is, if they have doubt, they can ask what is missing and get the child vaccinated for that. So that nothing is being missed, whatever they can prevent to the child, and especially those diseases we are preventing there, some of them are very deadly or they can hamper the life, so they are closing that gap which is missing. So they can definitely do that. They can immediately pick up the vaccine card, where is that, and just circle out what is missing, what they have missed till now.
So exactly, we have now 30 vaccine preventable diseases, and vaccines for 30 diseases are available. So they have to go and check whether which is important. And the best way to check it is either with your physician or your pediatricians whom you are actually visiting. Now, since we are concluding the program, before we conclude, my last any message would like to give Dr. Inderjit. Dr. Inderjit, like to give message to the parents who are watching this, especially protecting people on hepatitis, because we're talking on hepatitis, and we
Yes,
have
that's
season coming up after the summer.
Yeah, the most important thing is the hepatitis A itself, because typhoid may have treatment, hepatitis may have some treatment, but hepatitis A of till now has no specific treatment. It is only supportive management, and there are a lot of myths also with hepatitis A. As soon as the patient knows he has got jaundice, they go to some Baba for the treatment. That is
Yeah,
also a very wrong thing happening. So
I
rather
have
than
taken.
getting scared and running here and there, it's better to prevent that. So I always insist on them that at least go for the hepatitis vaccine, which is very important, and it is very commonly the children can get it through food or water. So insist, I generally in my day-to-day practice also I insist them on hepatitis, because typhoid they may get in government, but hepatitis is not available there. It's always better to go for a hepatitis. If a child gets chickenpox, we can give antivirals to give him some treatment. But in hepatitis A, there is nothing. And if it is a fulminant hepatitis, we tend to lose. I have had some patients who have seen people dying because of hepatitis, and then they came running to me, "Ki, give me hepatitis vaccine." So hepatitis, when you have a cure, when you have a prevention, then it's better to go for the prevention rather than get worried and get scared later on. So generally, it's in my practice, I generally insist on them, and especially pre-monsoon, definitely go for the vaccine.
Yes. So, Dr. Rashna, your message to the parents.
I agree with Dr. Inderjit fully that it is a preventable disease, doesn't have much when you treatment when you have it. And particularly before the monsoon, if you've not had the vaccine, then please go and get it, both for children as well as children more than 1 year, as well as for adults. Because if you have hepatitis A as an adult, it is more fulminant. So if you've not had it, and particularly I would say the population which is moving, for example, medical representatives, I tell them always that you're moving from here and there, eating food outside always, IT professionals, you better get yourself vaccinated against hepatitis A.
Yes. Now, Dr. Navneet, you have a message for the parents.
Yeah, definitely the same thing, but vaccine doesn't adds years to the life, so it's uh, definite a good protection, and it should be done. So, and especially as the schools are reopening later on after 2 months, and those children especially who are hostelers and those who are eating outside, they definitely should get vaccinated for hepatitis A to prevent this simple prevention to get a big result, and not getting ill later on.
So, thank you all for being a part of Immunize Conclave. We hope today's session was informative and valuable for spreading awareness on vaccination against hepatitis and all other key diseases which are relevant for adolescent and adult, a key step towards a healthier future. Our special thanks to Dr. Rashna Das Hazarika and Dr. Navneet Khandelwal and Dr. Inderjit Pandit for sharing their time, expertise, and insights with us today. For those who like to revisit the program, the video will be available on our official social media platforms. Please follow on the social media channels. Do like, share, and spread the word to as many, including your friends, family, and relatives. Until we meet in our next live talk, stay healthy, stay aware, and please do take care. Good. Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.